Another question that I often receive is, how do I know I have an ability? Is it an ability or is it in my head? Or how to open up my own ability? Well, first of all, everyone has some form of connection or capability of tuning in and having that intuitive part of themselves expressed. So intuition is just a natural born gift, in my opinion. There's just a variance as to how it is developed. Some people aren't supposed to do what I do, but yet you might know them as a good judge of character, or they're lucky at numbers, or they're lucky with other, whatever the case may be, they have that good intuition. Now, connecting with whether it's spirits, angels, guides, galactic beings, however, and opening up those other channels, um, can you have that ability? The first thing you have to have is trust in yourself. And that's something that you need to work on. And I always recommend to have like a little pad, even if it's like a spiral notebook with a pencil or a pen. And if you want to practice channeling or communicating or your intuition, you have to take notes for yourself, in my opinion. Because as you start to, when you first start compared to later on, you'll see how you grew. I mean, you can also videotape yourself if you, or do a voice memo of different things you see. I do recommend keeping track if you're trying to open it up and work with it. Now you can say, well, I think I do, but how do I know that that was my uncle who was over my shoulder? Or when I saw something, it was my grandmother. Well, the first thing I tell people is, well, if you're something's telling you that that's a loved one of yours, thank them for it and move on. Stop trying to use your regular brain to, I sometimes call it that monkey brain, to tear it all apart and to try to debunk it and like that. First thing is to say thank you for the connection. As you thank spirit for the connection that you get, you build up a rapport. And as you build up that rapport, it's nice to have gratitude and appreciation also as spirit, as also we want it here. So I would, start doing that. Meditation is the biggest key, in my opinion, for communication and connection. People pray or speak to their higher source or however, in a way, that's when we talk to spirit. But when we meditate, that's when we actually quiet our mind to start to hear. So and there's many forms of meditation, everything from sound meditation to just sitting in silent meditation. There's guided meditation. There's a whole bunch of different types. I like to do what I call a conscious meditation. I don't know if anybody else calls it that, but I do. So one of the things, and this is good for those of you who have a hard time meditating. So what I actually do is I pick an object in the room, or if I'm sitting outside, something outside. I set the timer on my phone for 5 minutes. And what you do is you pick an object and you stare at it. Now, that 5 minutes may seem like forever. But what you're going to do is you're going to stare at that object and you can see the outline, or let's say it was a lawnmower. Okay, it has a black handle. The bottom of it's red. It has 4 wheels. It has an engine. And you can and what you're doing is you're trying to control your mind. And then all of a sudden you thought you had to pay your cell bill. Well, you're letting the monkey brain in, so we want to pull it back in and start looking at that lawnmower all over again. It has a black handle, it has a red frame, it has a motor. And we're trying to minimize that noise. And see how 5 minutes goes, and keep on doing 5 minutes for now. And then once you can beat that, then go to 10 or 15. That's just a small example of how you could start working with controlling your thoughts. So if you try a different type of meditation, you could do it a little bit more easy instead of having 5 million things happening at once. In regards to trusting yourself, whether you're doing cards, runes, pendulum, channeling, whatever the case may be, yes, meditation is a key, taking that time to take the deep breath and let everything out, but that open communication and the information that you're giving the person that's in front of you, whether it's a friend, whether it's your dog, or somebody out in Timbuktu, whatever you hear, you should be honest with yourself. And for most of you, for a while, you might put up that guard like, oh, I don't want to offend somebody. I don't want to be wrong. Because ego comes in there. When we let ego in there, usually we end up regretting it, because they'll be like, damn it, why didn't I say that? I knew that answer. And you kick yourself in the butt. So work on trust. But with meditation, trust, and practice, those are 3 ways to increase your abilities. Now, I do take time, quiet time, to communicate with spirit. And when I first opened up my abilities, where I was doing my best to control it, which was when I was 19, what I did was I told the universal source, God, Buddha, whatever you want to label it, I said, listen, this is what I would like. So I didn't want to see gruesome pictures, because at that time in my life, I had already seen somebody's face ripped off. And that is not a nice sight to see, teeth and, nasal cavity and stuff like that. I don't think any of you want to see that. Well, maybe you do. But I had told, higher power that, listen, if I'm supposed to know that somebody's face is off, make it just flat. And do you know, to this day, so that's been a while, I will see something. If somebody lost a limb, it'll be a flat surface. And I know that it was like ripped off. But that, if you tell source what you would like and put out that intention, it'll start working that way. But some people are like, no, I want it now. I want to be able to right now be able to communicate. I've been waiting. I've been trying everything. I've took classes. It's still not working. And sometimes it's that anxiety that you have and that anxiousness of wanting it to happen now that makes it push aside and puts that doubt in. So what you're end up manifesting is wanting to have that ability. Because think about it, I want to be able to communicate with spirit. That's the energy you're putting out into the universe. Instead of saying, I'm able to, and like, I trust what I'm hearing, I trust what I see. So I would watch some of your vocabulary also. The biggest thing with communication is make sure you say some form of an opening, whether you call it prayer, ceremony, or sentence, whatever label you want for it, but surround yourself in a protective energy. Some people use gold spheres. Some people use a white light. Some people ask for protectors from angels, guides, loved ones, gods, goddesses, whatever entity or deity you would like. But have that protection around you. When somebody sits with me, they don't know that I have already done that. But I do sage my place. I also have used Palo Santo sticks to cleanse my areas. There's a variance of tools, candles that you could use if you choose to keep that area protected and safe. Myself personally, I am not a fan of a Ouija board, so I won't give you advice on that. I just already told you, I don't like them. I won't use them. I don't promote them. I guess I do have a strong opinion. From bad experience, I'll never do it again. So that's just like, they're not even allowed in my house. As you can see, but with other things, and maybe another day somebody will get me on that topic, but with other things, I do ask you to protect yourself and make sure you have a closing to your sessions, even for yourself. It doesn't just have to be because you have a client. It could be just because you want to sit and try to channel yourself and you meditated. And all you do is you thank all of the energies, and you use your words, thank all the energies for, coming and being a part of your time today, and tell them to leave. You do not ask. Do not ask spirit to leave. You don't say please, in other words. You tell them, because if you ask, they have every right to hang out. Now, I know some of the energies I deal with some clients, and if you're a client of mine and you know you have one of those crazy relatives, you don't think I want your Uncle Bob hanging out in my house with my deceased father-in-law and the rest of my gang. I'm not having that party, because I already have enough of crazy stuff that happens in my house from my family. I don't want yours there. So I find a way, besides my closing prayer or statement, to say goodbye to all the energies in my house. For my clients, I usually, and those of you who've been here, you've heard me say, well, you get to take your family with you. And that's usually when I'm starting to say it in my mind about that. But I do recommend opening and closing statements, and I do recommend cleansing the space that you're in. For those of you who are newer to it, if you're just starting to practice and share your ability and working with it, try to watch the atmosphere you're in. Try to watch the environment, because if it's a little bit too chaotic and crazy, like if you're down in, down in New York City at Times Square, that might not be the best place to handle your first session, because there's a lot of energy. A park may be good. It depends on your situation or where you want to be, but try not to be around too much chaos, because you don't want to draw in other energies either that aren't necessary. It'll drain you. And make sure you drink plenty of water or a beverage to hydrate when you're doing that, because you want that flow. You want things to flow nicely for you. And always you want to be able to ground. Me personally, if you see me at an event, I'm usually barefoot, because I'll stand up. I plant my feet firmly on the ground, and I take a couple deep breaths, and it's almost like I let roots from the bottom of my feet go all the way to the center of the earth. And I just take a few deep breaths. This may sound funny, but if I'm at an event, you might also catch me having my hand on a tree. No, I'm not your average tree hugger unless I'm in the mood and it's a special tree. Usually I just put my palm on it, and that's all you really need to do. So if you saw me at an event outside and you see my hand on a tree, I probably feel that just having my feet on the ground isn't working, and I'm just processing through utilizing the energy of the tree. So those are some tidbits that should assist you for those who want to either learn more with their own ability, but when we fear anything, we just attract more fear. So there's, it's like you have either faith or you either have fear. So me personally, I'll rather have the faith, because with fear, you end up with all that self-doubt, the low self-esteem, not believing in yourself. And why do you want to bring that into whether it's your spiritual practice or into your home, or if it's your business? You don't want to bring that in there. So it's always faith over fear. And yes, it's having faith in yourself that you can do it, because it is possible, and you have to see that it's possible for yourself.